everybody, and very happy new year to you all. This is the first time I've seen you this year, and I do hope you managed to have a reasonably nice Christmas and a happy time at New Year, despite all the weirdness that was going on, as we were just discussing. We obviously have now, or I think it's tomorrow, that we go back into full lockdown. I'm very conscious of what that means, certainly to me, and I'm sure to a lot of you as well. So I'm not going to abandon you. Today, I've been working with Bryony and Anna, and we've been working out a way to think of something every day for you to keep you entertained and inspired, I hope. So there will be something every single day of the week, at least for the next couple of months, and I hope you'll want to come in and enjoy some of those things that we've got in mind. I will be giving a lot more detail about this on Friday. We'll send out an email to you with a little video from me explaining how everything is going to work. So I should look forward to that. And entertaining and inspiring is what I hope to happen this afternoon. So we've got a speaker this afternoon called Dr Max Gowland. He is a doctor of biochemistry rather than a medical doctor, but his working life has been a lot to do with nutrition, sports nutrition, things like that. And then he became fascinated and interested in the whole subject of whether and if and when it's a good idea to take supplements, because one's diet doesn't supply all the things that are needed. So that's basically what we're going to talk about for the next half an hour. We thought it was a good subject for now because we've gone into a new year, and this is often the time when we start thinking about, you know, new year, new you. And actually, this is a subject that I am very interested in myself, because I don't take supplements, and I have some way to go to be convinced that they're necessary. So I think I'm a useful interviewer for Max, because I am quite skeptical, but I am open to being persuaded. So that's the important thing to say. But I'm going to start off, Max, by asking a question really to do with evidence. I know that your approach is entirely science-based, and you work from data and research and important things like that. So tell me what the evidence is that you have, that people, particularly people over 50, like most of the people on this call, actually need to supplement their diet.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, every time I appear on QVC television, I'm quite confident in telling people that, in my opinion, and it's based on data, that people do need to supplement. And as you get a little bit older, I think it's actually quite a nice addition to your normal diet, if you like, or your food intake. What I did a few years ago now was, being a bit of a boring scientist, I thought, look, I only believe data. Let's actually, because I was skeptical as well, let's go back to first principles. Let's go back to Public Health England and find out what people are actually missing in their diets. So after a lot of wizardry, I got hold of the actual raw data. I worked with somebody to help me analyze it. It's called the National Diet Nutrition Survey, run every few years for the over 50s by Public Health England. And it's actually done across the world in many countries, not just the UK. And I started analyzing the data. Now, how do they get to the data? People think, well, how do you know what I'm eating? Well, we don't. I don't know what anyone's eating on this call. But what I do know is that I do know what 3,000 people were eating when they underwent this analysis. So basically, dietitians, technicians, they go into people's homes, about 3,000 homes. It's a big test, costs a huge amount of money. They teach people to fill in food diaries. You know, what did I eat? How many boiled potatoes? How much milk did I drink? They teach them to weigh their food as well. And after a few days, they take the diaries back to the lab. They give it to a load of scientists, and they then use scientific tables to work out exactly, you know, 1.5 pounds of boiled potato equals so many carbs, fats, proteins, vitamin X, Y, and Z. So you can work out quite accurately what those people, those 3,000 people, have eaten. And then the statistics are published. And the statistics are usually published as averages. There's this craziness that scientists love averages. I don't. I like to find out what are the percentage of people not getting the RDA, the recommended daily allowance. because that's the important thing. You can have an average of perfection, but it means that a lot of people will not be getting what they need, and a lot of people will be getting more than they need. So let's actually try and analyze the data by saying, how many people are not getting that RDA, the recommended daily allowance, like the minimum level? And horrifyingly, on every single vitamin and every single mineral, they're just as important as vitamins, there were huge percentages of over 55s not getting close to the RDA. I mean, I'll share my screen quickly just to show you the chart. This is the data. I've sort of simplified it because it is quite complex. So if I just share my screen, I'll get the, here we go. Share, there we are. So if I share that, can you see those charts all right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I share just one chart here, I'll share a few more later, but where is it? There we are. So that's one chart. That shows the percentage of older adults not getting the RDA. So if you look at vitamin D, you're about the 5th or 6th along. What it's saying is that in the analysis, over 90% of us were not getting the RDA, like the basic minimum in our food. Now, I know we get some from sunlight. We can talk about that later. Look at vitamin E next to it. 90% are not getting the RDA. Calcium, very important, especially postmenopausal women, where they're losing a lot of bone density. Nearly 50% of women who are a bit older than 50, 60, 70 are not getting that RDA. And that's not a healthy thing because you can't measure your bones, you can't feel your bones. But obviously, if you're not getting that calcium, you're clearly going to lose some bone density at a faster rate than you would like to. So I won't go through all of these, but what I'm trying to demonstrate is that it is based on data. I've seen data. This was about 15 years old, this data. I've regenerated data from more recently, and it's just the same sort of thing. You're getting huge percentages of people that are just failing to get that basic RDA, the recommended daily allowance. And I'm afraid that's not healthy. It's not healthy. So I'm a great believer in supplementation. I really am.
Can I ask you, the people that were in this study, were they a good cross section of people? Because this must vary to a certain degree across geographically, social class, all that kind of thing. So the people that were chosen for this research, do you know where they came from?
No, but I can tell you that it was demographically representative. So what you do is you look across the age groups over 50, you look across the geographies where they live, and you look across the A, B, C1, C2, D type classes, social classes as well. So it is representative. Now, obviously, if you drill down even further into the data, which I haven't done, but I know the answer is that clearly the social classes which are more well off are clearly going to just think a little bit more about their diet. They're probably doing some exercise. Some of them might be on vegetarian or plant-based diets, and it goes on. I think the people who probably need supplements are probably people who are eating rubbish, clearly. But even those people who think they've got a reasonably good diet, I'm absolutely convinced that they will certainly be deficient in some of the key vitamins like vitamin D. I mean, I would say virtually everyone on this call, if you've got your vitamin D measured, unless you're taking supplements, you will probably be deficient. And that's again, not a healthy place to be, because vitamin D is a bit of a wonder vitamin. It's actually a pro-hormone, actually. And it's been well proven that vitamin D is associated with immunity benefits, with muscle benefits. Also, vitamin D is needed for our balance as well, which is really quite strange. But all of these claims are based on very, very good science, which has been through the EFSA grinding, which is the European Food Standards Agency. They have a scientific panel, and they do not allow any supplement companies to put claims on the back of their pack unless it abides by the health claims that are allowed, that you have permission to put on. So you have to be careful about the levels and the sources, and then you can only put certain words on. And if you take the Prime 50 range, I'm not here to sell the range because I'm not a salesman. I'm much more interested in education and science. We have 4 times the RDA of vitamin D in every single product, not just the bone product, because I know that we're nearly all lacking it. And I know how serious the health problems are if we're not getting enough vitamin D. So I put it into every single product. One of the health claims, which is, I don't think it's on any other product in the UK, is that it actually helps prevent falls in the over 60s. Think, wow, that's amazing. Well, it's actually in the tablet. It's at the right level to help prevent falls. And as you probably know, falls becomes one of the most important things to guard against as we get older. I mean, falls is a killer, literally, for the over 75s. I think it's in the top 2 or 3 reasons for death. So trying to prevent falls, very, very important.
Can I just remind everybody, if you've got any questions for Dr. Max, just pop them into the chat function. And when we come back after our breakout sessions, we will, Bryony will ask him those questions. So, don't forget to do that. And he will, I promise you, answer those questions very fully. I'm very interested in this then. So when you say 4 times the recommended daily allowance, so why do you need, surely there is an amount that we need, and then in excess of that, we just, it comes out as waste from our bodies. So why do we need 4 times the recommended daily amount?
That's a really good question. There's a few reasons. First of all, it's a fat soluble vitamin, and getting that into the system at a reasonable rate, because it takes time to build up, you need to put in more than the RDA. Okay. Secondly, for those people who are carrying an extra few pounds, unfortunately, the vitamin D isn't bioavailable. It's not because it's fat soluble, so it tends to live in the fat cells. So the more fat cells you've got, the less vitamin D you've got that's available. Thirdly, because we're deficient, we need to get off to a kickstart. It takes a bit of time to build the vitamin D. I mean, some supplements have, about 10 or 15 times the vitamin D RDA, which I personally think is wrong, because the European scientists, the EFSA, as I said, the rules of the game, they have set what's called ULs, upper limits, for vitamin toxicity, assuming you take it for the rest of your life. And I think the upper limit for vitamin D is something, I think it's around 2,000 international units, and in the Prime 50 products, we've got 800. So 2,000 is probably a little bit high. I wouldn't go to 2,000. I think providing you're taking a small amount, to me, 4 times the RDA is quite a small amount. Providing you're taking that on a regular basis, then you will actually build up an excess, will just be got rid of. It's just so important to get your vitamin D, but it's not just vitamin D. Vitamin D is just the tip of the supplement iceberg. There are other vitamins and minerals. You might have seen on Trust Me, I'm a Doctor, where they're a little bit anti-supplements. I keep trying to talk to Michael Mosley, but he doesn't answer my tweets. But there are some good articles on it, but they're a little bit anti-subs, I think, where they give somebody these big chunky 1 gram vitamin C tablets. Now that's well in excess of the RDA. The RDA for vitamin C is about 80 milligrams, whereas there's 1,000 milligrams in the fizzy vitamin C tablets. So yeah, a lot of that is wasted. And the reason for that is it's water soluble. So, it just is urinated out, and it is a bit of a total waste of money. But, that a lot of people think vitamin C is the best thing since sliced bread. And yeah, it's a really good vitamin, and it has some effects on immunity. But if you look at the science and look at the real effect, from a 10-day cold, it might take half a day off the cold. That's all. That's the best data that I've seen.
Yeah. What would a diet look like if it was, getting close to adequate from the point of view of those vitamins and minerals that we need? You put a chart up there, and you've got things on it like, those minerals and I don't know, I can't remember what they were, selenium and so on and so forth. So what would I have to be eating for breakfast, for lunch and for supper for me to have a really, really good range of, quality vitamins and minerals?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I would leave that up to the nutritionists who like to talk about broccoli and kale and spinach and fish and stuff like that. I'm much more interested in helping people supplement. Having said that, I think providing you're getting, and I'm going to be a bit boring here, providing you're getting your 5 a day, your fruit and veg, you might have some meat, you might have some milk. To me, milk and meat are superfoods. They've got a bit of a bad rap in the press for many silly reasons. They're just as important as fruit and veg, as far as I'm concerned. Not too many carbs, not too much bread, not too much pasta and rice, because carbs in excess are bad because they do turn into fat. We all know that. Carbs in excess will deposit on our body as fat. That's the problem. But you can get fat on broccoli and you can get skinny on Pop-Tarts. It depends on how many calories you're taking in during the day. And I know not all calories are created equal, but for the average woman, you need around 2,000 calories a day, roughly. That will vary genetically a bit, depending on your metabolic rate. Some of us have higher metabolic rates than others. A lot of it's to do with the thyroid, of course. But if you're taking 2,000 calories a day, if you start eating 2,100, you will put weight on, period. If you start eating 1,900, you will definitely lose some weight, but it'll take some time. And the worst thing I think anyone can do is go on these rather horrible crash diets where you go up to 800 calories for a month and you might lose a stone and a half. You stand on the scales and you think, wonderful. But nature's very clever. The metabolism slows down a bit to compensate. That's what nature does. So you're burning less calories. As soon as you go back to a normal diet, your 2,000 calories, your body will think, great, I'm going to now store that as fat, because that's how nature has really, programmed the body. When we are starving, nature thinks, wow, when's our next meal? Where's it coming from? So let's store that as fat, because fat is a very good source of energy for the future. So I won't say you must eat this, but if you have a healthy, well-balanced meal with plenty of fish, eggs, protein, milk, meat, but definitely fruit and veg, and not too many carbs, that's probably okay. There is an enormous amount of controversy over fat. The old nutritionists will say, keep to low fat this and low fat that. Again, that's old-fashioned nutrition. All these horrible low-fat yogurts and low-fat this and low-fat that. Obviously, they take the fat down and then they load it with sugar and other carbohydrates, which can then turn into fat. So it actually makes no difference. And there's a lot of stuff in the literature about fat and heart disease, atherosclerotic plaques, cholesterol. And cholesterol's got a bad rap. Cholesterol is actually good for us. Cholesterol is needed for life. If we have no cholesterol, we're not alive. It's as simple as that, because it's needed in the little cell membranes. And 80% of our cholesterol actually is made in the body. Only 20% comes from outside. So when somebody says, oh, you should stop eating eggs to lower your cholesterol, it's very old-fashioned nutrition.
Yeah, I'm really interested in all of that, because I don't eat any low-fat stuff at all, because I know it's full of sugar. And actually a small amount of high-fat things, like I eat Greek yogurt, it makes you feel fuller for longer, and it's very satisfying to eat because it improves the taste of things, so you don't get that horrible sort of ersatz sweetness in your mouth at the end of, say, a low-fat yogurt or something like that. So that's all fascinating to me, and I absolutely agree with you on all of that. So I'm still struggling with this a little bit, because I reckon that I try and eat a very nutritious diet, and this is something that I've tried to do recently a lot more. And my skin has really improved dramatically because of it, no question about that. But I am, you're about supplements, so I'm still interested in this. And I think I've bought the idea that vitamin D, I probably can't get that from my diet. and you know, it's winter time at the moment. I'm not going to be getting that from sunshine and so on and so forth, so I can understand that. Tell me a little bit more about the effects on an older body of actually being deficient in certain vitamins and minerals. So you did mention a couple of them, you know, you mentioned falling over and balance and so on and so forth. But tell me what else I'm going to notice if I have got some kind of vitamin or mineral deficiency.
Yeah, it's a tough one, this. I think if you take the easiest thing to notice, which is fatigue. I mean, most of us over 50 are quite tired some of the time. Certainly when we interviewed 1,000 over 50, 60, 70s and 80s in lots of concept groups, we did some interviewing on the internet, but mostly it was done face-to-face with groups of 12 people. The number one complaint was, I'm always feeling tired. And there could be a number of reasons. The first reason is that they could be missing out on some of the key vitamins and minerals which are needed to help us generate energy. So you can eat all the carbs and fats in the world which contain energy, but you need these micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, for the body to release that energy in the biochemistry that takes place. I think everyone's heard of the B vitamins because they are renowned for helping to fight fatigue. And you know, if you have B vitamins in your product at a certain level, you are allowed to make these legal health claims of, yes, it helps fight fatigue, reduces tiredness, etc. So again, you've got vitamin B, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, and 12. So that is a lot of B vitamins. They have names, obviously, not just numbers, thiamine, riboflavin, etc. But I won't bore you with that. So you need to get all the B vitamins. Now, some of the B vitamins, to be honest, it doesn't really bother me because we have a plentiful supply. I think B1 thiamine is in plentiful supply. But B12 is an interesting one. And B12 is sometimes seen as a really key vitamin that a lot of people complain about not having because they're just tired. They go to the doctor and you end up having B12 injections. The other way to get B12 is to just make sure you eat it in your diet. And if you're a plant fan or a veganite, you will not get B12. So you will have to supplement. You know, you have to supplement. There's no other way of getting it. And if you don't, you'll feel tired. You won't make red blood cells particularly effectively either. And that's important. Also with B12, as we get a bit older, our stomach acid tends to become less. We have less what's called intrinsic factor, which is like an enzyme. And B12, even though you might eat it with your meat or your fish, the trouble is the body, the stomach doesn't have enough acid to take the B12 out of the protein, which is in the fish. And that's a big problem. And, you know, supplementation will help. Another thing, while I'm on B12, is that a lot of people, and I'm sure the vast majority of people here will be on some sort of medication. Many of those meds will be antacids, and some of those meds will interact with vitamins and minerals and actually prevent B12 from actually being absorbed. So you might have a fantastic medicine or a pharmaceutical to help you with X, Y, Z, but sometimes that can really slow down B12 and indeed other vitamins as well. So
it's Prime 50. These are the products that I think you built this company, you've sold it, but you still talk and represent the company. So tell us a little bit more about that. So I know that you've got some for specific areas. I mean, hair, nails, skin. Anybody worried about those? I've seen a discussion on Super Troopers page just today about that very subject. You know, I've been taking this supplement, but I've still got problems with my hair, my skin, my nails. So tell us about the range, what it is, and and how you decide which one you might want to take.
Yeah, the range is behind me, so I can just let you have a quick look. But before I do that, let me introduce the Prime 50 branding, because it is quite different. We're the only company in the UK, and I think maybe Europe, and we've just won a lovely award from ESNA, which is a big association for the best targeted supplements. And I underline the word targeted. When I started the company, we did our technical research. Are we deficient? Yes, we are. We also interviewed many consumers, and they were inundated with questions that we put to them. And one of the big questions was, what are you sort of scared of losing as you get a bit older? And the number one priority for everyone was, Max, I just want to stay active, stay mobile, stay independent, play with the grandkids, maybe go for a walk, go on holidays, go shopping or whatever. It's not a big up. When you're 25, you don't care about that. When you're 75, you do care about that, and it's really important. So I now have this passion of not longevity or lifespan. I'm not interested in lifespan. I'm interested in health span. And by health span, it means making sure that our nutrition and exercise and sleep and stress, they are the 4 pillars of health, are in such good condition that we continue to be healthy as we age. So it's all about healthy aging. Now, I know healthy aging is a little bit of a worn sort of carpet, but I do believe in healthy aging. There's a lot of things we can do in terms of healthy aging, and there's a lot of things we can do to reverse aging slightly, without a doubt. Sounds a little bit wacky, but no, you can reverse. I think I talked to you this morning about muscle, for example. You can reverse your strength and your muscle health a little bit. And muscle is something which is so fundamentally important to us as we get a little bit older. We think muscles are, well, that's just for kids in the gym drinking their protein shakes, but it's not. We lose a lot of muscle mass as we get older. I don't think I need to tell you that, it's obvious. And we lose strength. The trouble is, losing muscle mass is unhealthy, not because you lose strength, but you lose the ability to deal with sugar. I don't want to sort of give a boring scientific lecture, but keeping our sugar level constant in our bloodstream is one of the most healthy things we can do. If you eat, sugar or have a soda drink with a lot of glucose or sugar in it, what happens is the glucose in your blood goes high. That then has to go into your muscle, but the gates in your muscle have to say, there's glucose around, I'll take it in. But to do that, the pancreas then has to generate insulin. And we all have heard of insulin spikes when we have sugar. And when you get insulin spikes, that is incredibly unhealthy. And that's why sugar is very unhealthy to us. If we carry on eating, a whole bar of chocolate at once, or lots of these sugar soda drinks, because your insulin goes up and down. And of course, potentially that can lead to diabetes too, type 2 diabetes. And if you've got type 2 diabetes, you just have to be extra careful with your nutrition, and you don't want your insulin spike to be going up and down, because that's, that can lead to even worse problems. So it's very, very important. So looking after your muscle is actually very important. I don't know if you want me to pop up that little diagram, Tricia, that I showed you before.
I think certainly people watching this will be aware that muscle mass declines over time, and that the solution to that is obviously to maintain with specific exercises, actually to do exercise to help that. So tell us about the products, because I think people watching will be interested in them. Tell us about the four main ones, and then I think you've got 2 general ones, haven't you?
That's
4
right.
targeted ones, and then 2 general ones about them.
So staying active. So, that's what people want to do as they get older. And I think that is the number one priority, is staying active. Even if it's just going for a walk, that is staying active, and that's fantastic. So we thought, what does staying active mean? And it means looking after what we call our musculoskeletal health. Now, what does that mean? It means our muscle health, our bone health, very important for postmenopausal women, of course. It means looking after our joints, because I think a lot of us have stiff and sore joints. We get a little bit older, they get worn out, the cartilage gets worn out. And of course, it's fighting fatigue as well. So they were the 4 main products in the range. So just to show you what they actually look like. So we started with the fighting fatigue product. So that's Prime 50 Fighting Fatigue. And that's 30 tablets, and then we've got 120 tablets in a tub. And then you can see all the nutritional information on the back. So it is a multi-nutrient product, but we formulated that very, very carefully. So we've not only got the B vitamins, but we've got, in my view, the right level. We've also got vitamin C in there because we want iron to be absorbed. Iron is not absorbed particularly well. So you need that vitamin C to help the iron absorption. The iron is needed to make hemoglobin, which is needed to make blood, and that carries oxygen around the body. So that's really important. We've got good old vitamin D in here, 4 times the RDA, of course, to reduce the risk of falling, but also to help bone density. We've even got things like zinc and magnesium in here at just the right level, because the actual claim is contributes to protein synthesis. And why do I want to make protein? Because protein is muscle. If you're not getting that synthesis, that making of the protein, you're going to be bleeding muscle mass, and you don't want to be doing that. And we've got some antioxidants in there. Everyone's heard of these super antioxidants. And we've got selenium, vitamin E, and 1 or 2 others in there. And it's quite interesting. A lot of people say, Max, what actually ages us? And it's a pretty simple thing. All our cells in our body, every day, every minute, every second, are being attacked by what's called free radicals. So that it's trying to oxidize every single cell. And once the cell is oxidized, it's not very useful anymore. So antioxidants are trying to slow down. And the actual proven health claim is that selenium and vitamin E actually contributes to the protection of those cells. And they can be cells in our heart or liver, skin, hair, nails, or whatever. We've also got added iron, not a huge amount, because only GPs should really prescribe iron. So iron you have to be very careful with. And we've got this wonderful material called bioperin, and no one's heard of that, but it's a very special patented extract of black pepper. And I think some of you may know that black pepper does actually help absorb better some of the vitamins and minerals. So we've got bioperin, this black pepper, in every single Prime 50 product. And there's a good reason for that. As we age, unfortunately, our gut does not absorb vitamins and minerals particularly well. So this is in there to try and help with that additional absorption. That increases the absorption of many of the micronutrients so well. We've even got a good old coenzyme Q10. A lot of people will have heard of that. CoQ10 is needed to help generate energy in the mitochondria in the cells. That's like the little cell batteries which give us energy. And as we get older, our synthesis, the rate at which we make CoQ10 is very slow. So we've got some CoQ10. So that's fighting fatigue. Then we've got the Strong Bones product, which is a massive seller as well. That's what it looks like.
Can we go through these a bit faster? We're just running out of time a little bit. So
Sure.
Tell me, so you've got the fighting fatigue. That one is a bone strength one.
Yes, bone strength, but it's not just calcium and vitamin D. This is calcium, vitamin D, vitamin K1, vitamin K2, and a whole lot more. So it's a lot more advanced than the cheapies that you find in the supermarkets. We've got another product.
The bone one is good for people who might have osteoporosis or have that osteopenia, isn't it? Osteopenia, which is the first stage of osteoporosis, which is where the bones have become slightly brittle, but they haven't advanced into osteoporosis. But obviously, postmenopausal women are much more likely to have problems with breakages, bone breakages, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, if you just quickly look at this, because I think it's interesting. I mean, that basically shows you what happens as we age. You know, that's a healthy bone on the left. That's a hip joint, by the way. As you age, you obviously lose. That's what bone density looks like. And obviously, the bone on the right-hand side is not particularly healthy. You know, that's if I show you this as well. Yeah, that's a normal bone under a microscope. And if you look at somebody who has got osteoporosis, that's quite a nice photograph of an osteoporotic bone. You can just see it's just about to break in the middle. And, you know, the important thing here is that, you know, there's the strength of bone with age. And you can see by about 32, 33 years old, that's where you have maximum bone strength. But unfortunately, it's all downhill, males as well. But obviously, at around 50, 55, when there is low estrogen, then that's obviously when you lose a lot of bone mass, and that's, you know, that's when you can get into trouble. You don't know if you've got osteoporosis unless you've been to the doctors and the hospital. They carry out what's called a DEXA scan, which is like soft x-rays, and then they can actually give you a score.
Okay, thank you. And what's the next product you want to just about?
The basic range was the, no, that's the 4, isn't it? Yeah, that's it. 1, 2, 3. Ah, where is it? Let me see, where is it? Just a minute, I'll see if I've got it in my box.
Don't worry, it's fine.
All right. Yeah, I have. It's actually, it probably won't interest you, but it is actually a protein muscle product. But again, it's loaded with the micronutrients, and that's to try and combat what I call this sarcopenia, which is the loss of muscle as we get a bit older.
Thank you, Max. That's absolutely brilliant. Lots of good information there. And I did ask you this morning that, and you told me it was about £27 for a month's supply. Am I right?
Depends which product you're talking about. You're talking about another product now, which is Total Health, which is this one. This is like 3 products in one. So in this product, we have a multi-nutrient, which has got every single micronutrient, vitamin, mineral you could want. It's also got an omega-3 fish oil, but very concentrated. Not all fish oils are created equal. There is a lot of nonsense out there where you have to take 3 or 4, 5 tablets to get what you need. You only need to take 1 of these. And then you've got this is a really big product on QVC now. This is the gut and immunity product, which is a 14-strain probiotic. But again, it's got every single additional vitamin and mineral which will help your immune system. And that's why it's such a big seller right now.
Okay, thank you. So thank you for showing us all of those. I think that's brilliant. So you've got some questions there, Bryony.
Yeah, we had lots and lots of questions. We're definitely not going to have time to get through them all, but Max, perhaps can send them to you afterwards and you could sort of answer them, and then we'll pop them in the Super Troopers group. But I'll rattle through as many as I can. So the first one was from Maureen. She wants to know what you feel about taking vitamin D during the pandemic.
I feel very strongly about it. In fact, as I was saying to Tricia earlier, I've written to the Chief Medical Officer, I've written to Hancock, I've written to the professor who was in charge of looking into the BAME community as to why they were dying quicker than the non-BAME, basically saying there is a ton of evidence out there on vitamin D, which clearly shows that those people who are deficient in vitamin D are much more prone to upper respiratory tract infections. I'm not talking COVID, I'm talking generally speaking. Now, respiratory tract infections are caused by both bacteria and viruses. And the evidence was such that, if I remember the stats, it was like the group that had low vitamin D had 70% more chance of getting an infection. So if you believe that data, which I do, it was very clear. It's called an association study.
Yeah.
It was very clear that, you know, you're going to give yourselves a better chance if you've got a decent amount of vitamin D in your system. Now, there is more and more data now being published showing more and more benefits of vitamin D. And I am 100% convinced that vitamin D is definitely going to help. And if you don't take something containing vitamin D right now, I just think it's crazy. I think we should all be taking, I mean, vitamin D tablets you can buy, they're cheap as chips, they're very untoxic. So, you know, you can even take quite a large amount and you won't hurt yourself. The upper limit for vitamin D is like 2,000 international units, which is a lot of tablets. So getting your basic Vit D, I think, is absolutely fundamental. Just to say that every single Prime 50 product contains 4 times the recommended daily allowance of vitamin D. So any of the Prime 50 products will have enough vitamin D. And the reason I put it in, because I knew about this a long time ago.
I think, well, we've got another question from Elizabeth about vitamin D, which I think we do now know the answer to, but she has said that she takes vitamin D throughout the winter, but should she be taking it all year round?
Yeah, the NHS advice is to take for anyone over, I think, 50 to take it all year round. Definitely, absolutely, because you're not going. You know, a little bit of sunlight's not going to generate that much vitamin D, and a little bit of extra vitamin D is certainly not going to help. If anything, it may even give you more protection. And of course, it's not just infection we're talking about. We're talking about muscle. Remember, it helps you not fall as much. It's great for the immune system. As we get a little bit older, we all suffer from immunosenescence, which is where the immune system in our gut goes to sleep a little bit. So we need that extra help. There's a lot of controversy in the press about this horrible word, vitamin D boosts immunity. Forget the word boost. It makes no sense at all. If your immune system is maxed out, you're not going to make it even better. Yeah. But most of our immune system is not maxed out. And therefore, this extra vitamin D, and I would say C, selenium, copper, vitamin B6 and 12, and folic acid, they are all immunity vitamins. And that's why I love this product. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to sell it. No, but this Total Health product is the product which basically covers everything.
And we've had quite a few questions about different sort of claims that are made around different sort of spices, etc. So Dorothy wanted to know whether the claims around turmeric are founded, and also Judith was asking if you had any comments on olive and fish oil.
Yeah, okay. Turmeric is a very popular supplement. We don't have any turmeric in any of our products at 550. And you can say, well, why? If you believe in it, why don't you use it? I do believe in it. The data is sketchy, though. Some data says, yes, it works really well for joints because it allegedly is an anti-inflammatory, and it's inflammation which actually promotes pain and suffering in our joints. So if you take turmeric, surely that's going to work. I do believe, if I had to say yes or no, I'd say yes, the evidence is reasonably good. But it's not as strong as some of the evidence from the vitamins and the minerals, and that's why a lot of the Pri 50 products are based around the more standard vitamins and minerals. I know there are approved EFSA health claims that have been authorized by the Food Standards Agency, whereas turmeric has no health claims at all that have been authorized, which sort of makes you think maybe it doesn't work. But EFSA have got a very, very bad reputation for being overly strict.
Right, okay. So there are lots more questions, but I'll just try and get through a couple more.
Fish oil, sorry.
Oh yes, fish oil and olive oil.
Well, fish oil or olive oil?
Both.
Okay. Fish oil is a very, very, very healthy nutrient.
Okay. Public
Health England say we should be getting about 140 grams of oily fish, not fish fingers, oily fish, every week.
I'll put my birthday back in the freezer then.
Yeah. And the data says that we get, I think, about 45. So we are desperately down on oily fish. Why do you need oily fish? There is something in there called DHA, which is docosahexaenoic acid. Don't repeat that, don't worry. But DHA is the active ingredient. So if you go shopping for fish oil tablets, yes, you can look at fish oil, but if you look at the back of pack, for example, what you're looking for, and in these products, for example, the two products, brain health and heart health, for example, there's a dry tablet in both, but there's also fish oil. And I've chosen the highest distillation grade of fish oil, which allows me to make a claim for heart health, which has been approved by the Food Standards Agency. And you only have one little tablet, and you have to have 250 milligrams of DHA. That's the stuff in fish oil which gives you the brain, the vision, and the heart health.
Yeah. Okay. Lee wants to know whether you can take more than one of your supplements at the same time.
Yeah, very common question. You can take up to 3 or 4 of the supplements.
Okay.
How do you know that? The reason for that is it's well below what's called the upper limit set by the European Union.
Okay. And Hannah has a similar question, has said, should you consult your GP if you're taking other forms of medicine before introducing supplements into your diet?
Yeah, I think it's a good practice. On every single pack, we put the normal legal requirement which is if you are on medication, please check with your GP. I don't want to be critical of the GPs. A lot of GPs are a little bit anti-supplement, so they'll probably say, don't take this rubbish. And I think they're missing a trick. And a lot of them just, unfortunately, don't understand the benefits or the science behind some of the nutrition. I've been studying this for many years now, looking at the real science, not the stuff that you get in these rather silly magazines. And there is huge benefits for supplementation.
And then I guess a really good question to end on from Helen. She's saying that assuming that you take your own supplements, what's the difference that you've noticed the most since you started taking Prime 50?
Well, I've been on Prime 50 for years, so it's a little bit difficult. I tend to take the protein product, which I haven't really talked about, because I know that we are deficient in protein as we get older, and it's rather difficult to get enough protein. I tend to be a gym bunny, so I do go to the gym, or I used to, until lockdown, about 3 or 4 times a week, because resistance exercise is very, very important to maintain a certain amount of muscle mass. And that's equally important for females as it is to males. I tend to take the joint care product as well. And then I also take my favorite product, which is the Prime 50 Total Health.
Yeah.
And the real benefit there is I've got the multi-nutrient, which has everything. I have the omega-3 for my vision, heart, and brain. And I also have the probiotic for my gut health. I just feel good. It's, you know, I can't wake up and say, I suddenly feel better. No, I feel good. I hopefully will continue to feel good. And whether I feel different or not tomorrow or the next day, I don't care. I know that this is a good insurance policy. And it's my way of making sure that my body, my machine, is fed with the right fuel. Because if it's not, that's when things can go wrong. That's when joints can get sore. That's when you might feel a bit tired. Because it's rather difficult, even if you're a brilliant chef, to make sure that you get every single nutrient every day.
Well, thank you so much. I'll hand back over to Tricia now. Thank you.
I just want to ask you one last question. So that total health one that you just showed us, if we just wanted to sort of cover all the bases, so how much would that be?
I think it's about, I should know, but of course QVC might have a different selling price. So if you can't get it off the Future You Health website, you can get it from QVC. I think it's about £27. About.
Okay, that's what you quoted me this morning. So it's just under £1 a day, basically, that you're saying.
Well, yes. I mean, a lot of people buy this, and after a month, they say, right, next month I'm going to get one, but I'm actually going to take that tablet on a Monday, that tablet on a Tuesday, that tablet on a Wednesday. It's not advised because you're getting less of the goodies, but it's one way of actually making it last 3 times as long.
Okay, so we need to put some links, I think, to things, Bryony, on.
So I'll put the links underneath the YouTube video, and we'll also put them in Super Troopers as well.
Yeah, so just so that people can access that if they're interested, and you may well be, having listened to all of that. So Max, thank you very much indeed. That was very illuminating and very interesting. It's certainly opened a whole area of topic in my head around optimal nutrition, which, like you, I'm very passionate about. And I think, like you, I'm really interested in healthy longevity. I don't want to live a long life and not be well for 15 years of it. You know, if I'm going to live a long life, I want to live it and feel well for as much of it as I possibly can, which is what I think we both agree is important. So thank you very much for that. We had a great great audience for all of that. I think we were up to about 130 odd people at one stage. It's a bit fewer now because they skip off when we go into our groups. But anyway, it was fun meeting you in the group. As I said, I'm going to be sending out via email and putting onto Super Troopers a video on Friday, at which I will explain the program that we're building for you, so that you have something every day to look forward to get you through lockdown. So I do hope that you'll enjoy the things that we're coming up with. It's based on the concept of New Year, New You. So that hopefully there'll be something for for all of you to get you interested and happy and excited, as I said, during this period of lockdown. So thank you very much indeed, Max, for your contribution. Thanks all of you for coming along. At the moment, we've got nothing else booked in for this week, but when you see the video, you'll see the video that I'll put out on Friday, you'll see that we will be doing something next Monday. Possibly in the morning. We're thinking of doing a morning one. Anyway, all the details will be there on Friday. So thanks very much for coming along. And I shall look forward, I hope, to seeing a number of you on Monday of next week. So bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Thanks for coming along.